Hey, my Legion, how y'all doing today? I was asked by some people before if I could do some Netflix reviews and movies on Netflix, and I've been doing a whole bunch of reviews of movies on Netflix. And some people might not know that I've been doing it. But every time, usually, if I do a movie review, it's something I've seen on Netflix or YouTube. Usually, that's the way it's been going for a little while, anyways, or TV or cable TV. And I have a triple threat. That's like a wrestling term for most of you wrestling fans out there. There's three movies or three people involved in a match. And the three movies I'm reviewing, I saw two of them last night with my sisters, and I started watching the last one, and it was getting too late at night, and I finished watching it when I got home uh, from my sisters today, and I also watched Bar Rescue. Bar Rescue was really good too. And the movies are The Nine Lives of Fritz the Cat, Supermench, The Legend of Shep Gordon, almost said Flesh Gordon, Shep Gordon, and Enquiring Minds. Now, the first movie, The Nine Lives of Fritz the Cat, is a sequel to the famous 1972 Ralph Bakshi movie that was loosely based off the underground comics of Robert Crumb. Now, in Robert Crumb's documentary, he said this is the two most things I'm most known for, and he did the Keep on Trucking logo and also Fritz the Cat, the movie. And he said that when they approached him, if he wanted to be involved in the movie, he thought they were nothing but hacks and stuff like that, and he didn't want anything to do with it. So they made it on their own. Well, anyways, the movie's famous for being the first X-rated cartoon ever made. And when I say X-rated, I don't mean pornographic. I mean mainstream X-rated. Like movies like Midnight Cowboy was originally X-rated, and same with Last Tango in Paris was originally X-rated. And they're like mainstream movies, but with enough raunchy content to give it an X rating. And then later on, Midnight Cowboy got turned to an NC-17. I don't know if they decided to put the original Fritz the Cat back on the rating board or not. Well, anyways, this is a sequel to it. Nine Lives of Fritz the Cat. And I remember it being released when I was in 4th or 5th grade at Cinema World. And I played there a couple months. Must have been a hit. And I think it was like it had like a Little Mr. Bill cartoon before, Little Mr. Bill live action before. I think this is a long time. This is what I remember as a kid. I never saw the movie, and I remember seeing Fritz the Cat, the original Fritz the Cat, finally in the army, and I was looking all over for the Nine Lives of Fritz the Cat. I couldn't find it anywhere. I think sometime in the 2000s, I saw it on Encore finally. And I only saw it once. And I think it got rebroadcast a couple times on Encore. And then I found out, I just saw the ad, it said Fritz the Cat on there. And I thought that was the original Fritz the Cat on Netflix. I said, they got an X-rated movie on Netflix, so I checked it out. And it wasn't the original X-rated, it's the R-rated sequel, The Nine Lives of Fritz the Cat. Now, this was done by a different animator and different company. The guy who does the voice is the same guy who did Fritz the Cat in the original one. Now, the animation is not as good. It's a little cheap. I mean, it's American International, and then it got re-released. When American International went bankrupt, it got bought up from Orion, and then it got bought up by MGM. So this is released by MGM now. And basically, it starts off with his wife giving him absolute hell over everything, saying he's no good and stuff, and then he's smoking pot, and he zones out, and he starts going on all these little different adventures, different lives of his, and he explores different topics like, well, getting stoned. This is like weird stuff from the 70s, somewhat very downbeat. Racism, fascism, war, space exploration, and it's a religion too. It's a very unusual film. Either you're with it or either you get into it or you don't. Like the original one had more social commentary. This one does kind of, but it follows a format. Like his wife yells at him, he zones out into something else, just like an anthology. And it ends really well. In the middle part, there's like something about the Depression, and they play all this old newsreel footage. And sometimes you see him like walk around with like a rich suit or drinking wine or something like that. Like he's one of the rich people while everyone else is poor. And then they kind of like, he becomes poor at the end of the video and stuff. I mean, that's the one part that some critics say it was a lot tamer than for. That's the one part that really is tame. But for the most part, it's pretty filthy. Because I remember I wanted to see it when I was like in 4th, 5th grade. An R-rated movie. I knew I had no chance of hell seeing it. My parents would tell it, they would take me out like when the first 2-3 minutes they would have been pissed off at me because it is really filthy. I mean, not pornographic, but lots of nudity and sex, but not really pornographic. I've seen X-rated cartoons. It's not like that. I mean, I've seen pornographic cartoons. It's not like that. Neither there's no Fritz the Cat. It's like a social commentary, animated, irreverent comedy with scenes of sex in it and some serious parts in it, just like this one. Going to warfare and stuff. It's a very unusual film. I really did enjoy it. It's not for everyone. I give it a 9 out of 10. I think the original, I haven't seen the original Fritz the Cat in a long time, but I think probably the original Fritz the Cat's a little bit better, but this is pretty good too. If you can see, if you like more adult cartoons, not pornographic though, but R-rated cartoons, you might enjoy this. So 9 out of 10 for that one. Now the next one is the best of the three. Supermench, the story of the legend of Shep Gordon. And Shep Gordon was this one guy who didn't really know what he wanted to do in life, and then he went to L.A. and he got beat up twice. And the second time he got beat up was he was in this hotel and he looked down and he thought he saw a woman being raped. And he went down and broke it up and he just found out they were just making out. And the woman punched him in the face. And the woman who punched him in his face was none other than Janis Joplin. And the guy she was making out with was none other than Jimi Hendrix. So they got to talking and smoking, and getting high and stuff like that. And Jimi Hendrix said, "You got to start being a manager." And he said, "You should manage these guys, Alice Cooper." And from that point on, he became giant friends with Alice Cooper. And then he went on to manage so many other people. He managed Pink Floyd for 9 days. And then he wanted to manage Anne Murray. And Anne Murray's in this movie. This was made 2 years ago by Mike Myers of Saturday Night Live. And it's a very good thing for Mike Myers. Because probably the best thing I think I've seen Mike Myers do, aside from Wayne's World, was direct this and produce it. And it's a very entertaining movie. He goes on to, a lot of this is about Alice Cooper. And then, he goes on to manage Teddy Pendergrass. And then they end up making movies. Like, I remember they did Roadie with Meatloaf and then Linda Ronstadt. I remember seeing that one. And from that point on, he does so many these, and then he was the one that started managing chefs like Lemuel Lagasse and stuff, and he was the one that really created the celebrity chef thing back in the 90s and stuff, and Food Network and stuff. And this is a very incredibly entertaining film. Very entertaining. This gets a full-on 10 out of 10. My sister and Roland were telling me about it right before I watched Fritz the Cat. And we watched that, and they said, "Why don't you watch this movie?" And they put it on, and it's fantastic. I can't recommend Supermench, the Legend of I almost said Legend of Flesh Gordon, the Legend of Shep Gordon, enough. Awesome movie. And the last movie is called Enquiring Mind. I started watching this last night. I got tired. Finished watching this, and I shut off to watch Bar Rescue, and I turned it back on. And basically it's about a guy named Gene Pope, whose dad was really famous, and then his dad started this Italian-American newspaper. His son was in it, and a whole bunch of stuff happened. And then his family said they didn't want him in the paper. They kicked him out, and he decided to purchase this one paper for $75,000. And that became the National Enquirer. And this talks about his life, and also talks about the rise of fame of the National Enquirer. It's a very entertaining movie, but I have to say something. Whenever he was trying to look for circulation, before they did a celebrity thing, he started putting gore in his magazine. Like, it reminded me of Herschel Gordon Lewis, but this is very unpleasant stuff. Because I like my horror films and stuff like that. I like the Saw movies and stuff, but this is unpleasant stuff happening to kids and stuff like that they put in the magazine, and it's a 20-minute section of that, and they show like photos from the magazine, very unpleasant photos. Uh, and I have to warn you about that. You know, it's upsetting. I mean, even stuff that they want to put in like Face of the Death or Trace of the Death, they put in this section, and then after a while, they decided maybe they should get away with from the gore, and they decided to talk about train wrecks without the blood, and they decided to go with celebrities, and then they went in that path ever since. So I mean, I have to warn you about that thing with the gore. I was a little bit shocked at the stuff they put that he was allowed to get away with back then, even though it's black and white photos. And it talks about the National Enquirer's rise to fame. And apparently the guy, Gene Pope, passed away in 1988. And it's amazing, this movie was made in 2014. And it's amazing they made a movie about him so much later. And it talks about he passed away right when they were going to have, they had a photo of Gary Hart and Donna Rice in the newspaper. And he talked about what's happening in the National Enquirer now. And it's a very entertaining movie, too. Except for that. I mean, I'm a gorehound, but I mean, that's like unpleasant stuff that you see, like unpleasant stuff from the news type stuff. And I mean, if you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But it's I have to say something about that. It's very unpleasant. But aside from that, probably give this, because I'd probably give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's very good. Just be careful of that part. Or you could fast forward. It's up to you what do you want to do, watch or not. But I just want to let you know ahead of time. Because I want to tell my sister about them. My sister will probably get freaked out by that stuff. Like anyone would, you know. Well, anyways, this has been my Triple Threat movie review. I really hope you enjoyed it. The movies are 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat. Supermench, The Legend of Shep Gordon. And also Enquiring Minds. So until next time, buddy, I got to go to bed. I got to go to work in the morning and take care of my Legion.